shows broadcast on Tom's Radio Toronto are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of Tom's Radio Toronto or its staff. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment and general information only, in the hope that they will be entertaining and informative to listeners. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate in any way any disease or condition or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice, nor is the information presented necessarily accurate or verifiable.
Pleasant greetings, Canada, and of course, mabuhay Pilipinas, and to all my countrymen and other people of the world. Let's talk. This is Mondatol with my co-host, Josie Isla. Josie?
Hi.
Hi, only? Okay, Josie here is one of the few ladies that I've met so far that when she greets people, few words, but when she talks, oh my goodness, a mouthful of every topic that we're going to discuss today. But of course, it's good because we will be discussing two issues that I believe people in Toronto, not only in Toronto but all over Canada, has to know. Well, okay, Josie?
Yes, please.
Your opening words.
I'm laughing because I like today's topic.
Okay.
And maybe let us also engage our viewers. Viewers, you can call us live. We also want to hear your voice. You can
All
call
right.
us live.
Okay, topic number 1. Want me to
Yeah.
read it or you will read it?
Okay.
Okay.
How would isolation of health practitioners like doctors, nurses, caregivers from their family, loved ones due to exposure to COVID-19 affects the mental health of said people? How could the government help these health workers?
Yes, it's the biggest issue that we want to discuss right now.
Isolation.
Yes. Why are people isolated? Why are these health practitioners being isolated?
I think they are being isolated because they want to protect the family,
Okay.
especially because they are people who get in contact with the patients and
They are exposed.
they're exposed. Yeah, they expose it to the risk, so that that they want them to put them away from the family, because if the family is affected, that means the spread is going to continue and continue and continue.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel that way, but that isolation is really causing mental health problems. Yeah, not only mentally, but also physical, because I have a friend, he's a doctor. So he has been living in a hotel for like 6 months now. And he has not...
6 months?
6 months.
Okay.
He has not seen the wife, the kids, and all the time he has been isolating himself simply because he's working in the emergency ward. So,
And they are, is it a lady or a...
no, he's a man. He's a man.
He's a man.
Yeah.
So he's being exposed to those people.
To the patients, yes.
To the patients who have COVID.
Yes, who are
right?
having COVID. But then the point is, if this person has been isolated for all that time, I know others who have been away from their houses for 2 months, for 1 month, the kids are really getting affected, because it's not only the parents or the wife and the husband, but it's also the kids, because the isolation gives tension to these kids.
Stress.
It gives stress to the family members. So I don't know how the government really has taken care of these people, if they give them any support, like extending them to certain facilities which can give them counseling on how to do this and why they are isolating their parents or the dad or the mom. I'm not sure if that has been done.
I haven't heard of any actions being done by the government in consoling the family of these
People who have been isolated.
It's so hard. It's so hard not only for the man isolated, the health worker, the doctor, the nurse, the caregiver being isolated from the family simply because he was exposed to COVID patients. And of course, being exposed to there, it means he could transmit
that means he's at
the
risk.
virus.
Yes,
Right.
right. Yeah. But I think the way you are saying, people, let's talk. What do you think, especially for those people who have experienced this kind of problem that either the wife or the husband has been isolated because they are working at risk points whereby they can catch up COVID or to avoid the transmission of this virus. How are you feeling? Did you had any support from the government, maybe to counsel you, to give you hope, to tell you why this is happening?
You know what? The government here is just trying to appease these people by trying to say, oh, we have provided you some financial support. But they could not give this health practitioner, the frontliners, some mental, who are suffering from mental anguish. That's precisely simply because they are scared. Of course, what happened if I contacted the virus?
You're right. It's really scary. It's really scary. When you talk about the financial support, I think people don't need much of that financial support. They need much care about their mental wellness. It's really frustrating. Like, if I isolate myself, maybe why don't they do it in the houses? Because there are some people who can isolate themselves from the house.
But it's too risky when you say you're going to live alone at the basement. You're lucky if you have a basement and you have only one or two children. You could not talk to them. You could not eat with them. But the problem is whenever you go out to report to your work, although you are isolated, but you have to work. But the mere fact that you're going home at night,
yes,
and your children are there because there is no schooling, that's a big risk.
Yeah, I really agree. But then let's talk about this mental wellness.
Yes.
How are these families coping with the mental wellness? I know it's overwhelming.
It's so hard. Yes,
it's overwhelming. So how are they coping?
I could not explain that side of a man being isolated and then suffering from mental anguish, as I said. And there should be some thought in their mind that probably I'm helping the people, I'm helping the government, but what is it that the government is
helping
not
you or supporting you? And this is true because it's not these people in the family, they live with anxiety.
Correct.
All the time they think, okay, how is my loved ones doing? I don't know, if we get sick, what am I going to do?
Correct.
Because
what if I die?
that's
To the extent of me thinking of dying simply because I'm performing my job as a health worker.
So I think we should ask the government to think over and over. And this is the reason why the issue of mental illness at this time of pandemic has been so huge. It's because the government only handled the one part of COVID vaccines and testing, but you forgot to take care of these families. They don't need money. Money cannot remove anxiety. Money cannot make these people not to feel depressed, not to feel sick because their loved one are working at the risk areas, like they are exposed to the patients who have catch up COVID, and the fear is big to these families. So I don't know. This topic is hard to discuss.
Yes, simply because previously, at the start of the pandemic last year, because it's been going on for more than 18 months or more than a year, and that previously there was employees, ordinary workers, employees, they could not file sick leave. They are not entitled to sick leave with pay, simply because it is not mandated in the labor rules and laws that you will get your sick leave payment. Only the vacation, of course, you are going to use your vacation. But in this case, in this issue of pandemic, Only lately did the government, the provincial government, and the federal government created such it's not a law yet, but they gave the family working in health care or in the hospital
3 days, yeah.
3 days only with pay.
I'm not sure if 3 days is enough.
No,
but,
it's not. It's not isolated for 10 days, and then you are going to give him or her a 3-day sick leave with pay.
No.
Is that fair?
That is not fair. That is not fair. I agree. At least 5 days, let the person stay away for 5 days.
Yes.
And let them be paid for 5 days, because I've seen people having fever when they got this vaccine. The fever goes up to 3-4 days, and then after 3 days, this person has to report back to work with the same condition of anxiety, depressed, and stress. I'm not sure if the government did a good job there.
I was just thinking, I don't know if it is happening right now, or it has been a rule or any laws that govern this in case of emergency or pandemic. This is a pandemic now. If these workers, are they insured? What happens if they got sick, stay there in a hospital more than 2 months?
No, nobody. I mean, and this is the reason why everybody has to have his own life insurance, because the workers are not insured, because it depends. It depends they have the normal insurance, but I've not had that case that these people are insured when they fall sick and stay in the hospital for a month or for 2 weeks. I've not had it anywhere, and I've not read it anywhere.
That's HIP covers everything.
HIP doesn't cover everything. It's only cover few stuff and some medication you need to buy. But then
So you have to have a private insurance.
the private beds you have to pay from your pocket.
Okay.
So HIP doesn't cover everything. It has certain age, it has certain people. So it's categorized. It has different categories where they can cover you.
Well,
Yeah.
in the performance of duty in the hospital, you got sick, you got infected. Who will pay for all the expenses that you got to occur in the hospital? Is it the OHIP or the private insurance, the illness insurance that you bought or you are trying to buy but could not get it because you're working in a very higher risk place?
That is a very good question.
Of course.
Because I really don't know. Those people who don't have insurance, what are they doing?
Yes.
Because I understand there are people who wants to be in the private. Maybe this is the reason people don't get medication when they are admitted there.
Correct. In the
Because-
Philippines, the government now is paying something, or rather insuring all those health workers working in a hospital.
Wow,
with yes, the
that's a very
president-
good move.
Yes, because there are so many dies in the performance of their duty as a doctor. Many doctors died in the Philippines. They were given 1 million.
Wow, that's
If
a
the
very
family
good
died,
move.
yes, that's a very good action by the
No,
president.
that's it. No, in fact,
It
that's
is not included in the health.
I think
Insurance.
Canadians, you are listening to us. Viewers, you are listening to this topic. This is a very good thing to
Yes,
be discussed.
correct.
I mean, let us fight for our healthcare workers to be insured, because you're right. Somebody who has been
Yes.
exposed, working in the risk, and we have doctors who have died,
Of course, we have doctors here.
We have
In the
also
Philippines,
nurses.
Lots of doctors died.
We have PSWs.
Yes.
We have
Healthcare
nurses.
workers.
Yeah, all these healthcare.
Caregivers.
We have caregivers in Canada who have died with COVID just because they have been exposed to the patients, to
Yes.
these people. And these people, the families got nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's time now, the government, to think over, when we are dealing with this COVID, our healthcare workers needs to be insured.
Correct.
Because if you don't have a private insurance and you die from COVID, you're done.
The family suffers. Because mostly Filipinos here and other nationalities who work in healthcare or other hospitals and other clinics, they send money to their families abroad,
Yes.
Philippines,
Yeah,
Nigeria,
that's
wherever.
it's true. So we don't have that much money to save to pay for private insurance and everything.
Yeah.
You're
That's
very
why-
right.
That's why we have to call the attention of. That's why I'm trying to invite some health bigwigs here in Canada. Probably even the health minister in the province. I tried to call their attention, but they says it's still locked down until June 14. Oh my God!
No, we really need those people. We really and we viewers, let us join hands and advocate for this.
Correct.
Tito Mon, you have done something very great, and I have never thought of this. Maybe because in Philippines the workers are paying compensation and insured. That's a very good move, and we need that move here.
Correct.
We need it here.
Because we have to thank these people, the frontliners, the health workers. They're fighting for our lives.
No,
they're the
I
ones
agree.
facing them. In chess, they are the pawns.
No, I really agree,
Yeah.
and I support the move. I support that move that our healthcare workers who are working in the risk areas need to be insured. But
Okay.
the problem comes like PSWs who are working in the long-term care.
Yeah.
The long-term cares, they don't have that money to insure these people. And you know what? Every insurance right now has gone high.
Yes, precisely. Simply because they are facing a risky clientele.
Yeah.
And of course, the government should do something about it. That's the only way that they could help these frontliners.
I think we
Give
don't.
them a private insurance
What
if the
I
government
know,
could not insure them.
what I know that the government is giving money to those people who are dying from COVID.
Dying from
yes.
COVID.
So-
Not necessarily those people who help.
Not the healthcare, not the one who
the-
helped,
yes.
but the one who died with COVID. I heard that the government is giving them 10,000 to 20,000, something like that, to manage the funeral services. So that money, the government is giving it out. I'm not sure how much is it, but I know a friend who passed away, and the family was given that amount of money. And
Funeral expenses.
Funeral expenses.
10,000, you mean?
Yeah, I heard it's from 10 to 15, something like that.
Insurance says, yeah, me too. I got a 10 to 15,000 funeral expenses. But of course, they are good. The family spends around 6,000 to 10,000 for it.
But then now here we are not talking about people who are dying from
Yes.
COVID. We are talking about people who are helping those patients.
Survive the virus.
Yes, those people who are surviving the virus. What are they getting from the government?
Increase their salary first. That's the first thing that they have to do. Federal and provincial government should give them an increase
Of the
salary. That's the best thing that you could do so far.
You know, the point is there's a lot of politics in this. When it comes to the salary and wages,
Adjustment, yeah.
there's a lot of
Benefits,
politics.
my
because
gulay.
the regulations and the protocols of the process is really complicated. And this is the reason why the government cannot just decide. But I remember last year in October, Doug Ford announces the increase. Now, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, announced the increase for these healthcare workers. But believe me, there are people who have not even got that increase until today.
Only promises.
Yes.
Politicians do that, and they are trying to get the people's vote again because
And
election
that is the
next
point.
year.
I mean, that's the point because they give all these polished statements.
Okay.
I call them polished statements, but they don't act. And people take this polished statement, take them in their heads, thinking that things are working. Things are not working. Things are not working. Whatever, like a lot of things, the province of Ontario promised, like business people, healthcare workers, and it's not in they have not started to apply it, and nothing is moving. So there's a lot of movement going around. People think that everything is all right, but it's not.
Everything is not all right,
It's
you know.
not. It's
As long as
not.
pandemic is still there and trying people The best thing that I could suggest to the government, take care of our healthcare
Healthcare workers, for
workers.
sure. I agree with
Number
that.
one,
And
take
that
care
is,
of this.
I think that is the movement we should move with.
Yes, I will make a manifesto, a letter directly to the Prime Minister to make federal actions, probably, and trying to suggest to him that the federal government should give not only these business people trying to regain or to recoup whatever losses they got from this pandemic, but the lives of these health workers
Let me
are the
ask-
foremost.
Let me ask you a question. Like military people who go to war, do they get life insurance for
Of course, they have.
They have life insurance.
Yes, they have everything because they protect not only the country but the world. Especially the militaries are getting all the benefits that the government could give them. But look at the health workers. Huh? Look at the hospitals here. Huh? You have to wait for 5 hours for trying to get treated for your accident for 5 hours in any hospital here. I've been hospitalized for so many times before. And I have to wait. I had my last accident in 2017 for my arm. It's
Yeah,
black and blue, and I waited for 5 hours before I was treated.
Yeah, you're right. That long line waiting. And sometimes there's not even that long line. But why are we waiting for that long?
They said they lack doctors. Why not get the immigrant doctors perform their profession here? That's what we've been talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what we've been talking about. And I got a question somewhere when I posted in Twitter that the government is going to look at it, but I think they have to do it so fast, because if you don't have enough healthcare workers, immigrants are there to support.
Correct.
We have professionals. We know what to do. Please use us. Don't let us. I mean, a lot of immigrants, the way we said last week, have changed their jobs from their professions, like doctors and everything. And then
Doctors,
we are
nurses,
suffering today.
technicians, laboratory technicians.
What is so special? What is so special with these healthcare professions?
Money and politics, power. They don't want to spend money for this.
Power
The federal
corrupts.
government and the provincial government are doing nothing.
But how are they spending money when we are...
For friends and buddies. For the big businesses where they could recoup. Huh? My goodness sake.
Viewers, sometimes these topics are really depressing, because when we talk about this waiting, and sometimes you go to the hospital, you don't get what exactly you're supposed to have.
Now you cannot go to the hospital and get inside there to visit your relatives because of this pandemic. Huh?
I read the news, I think from this weekend, people will start to go and visit their relatives, their loved ones in the long-term care. So
Long-term care, because there is air condition out there. Unlike before. Huh? The elders die.
no, it's really sad.
They're spending a lot of money for these elders to stay there, to have a good life while enjoying their...
No, they're not even spending enough money for long-term cares. I mean, sometimes we complain about the service we get in the long-term cares, but it's not about the people. If you want to have good life in the long-term care, if you want the loved one to have good life in the long-term care, that means you have to get money from your own pocket.
Yes, precisely. Because it's being administered and run by
And
the private agencies.
Something which really disturbed me. These people have been saving this country in different professions and lines, whereby they made this country to be where it is today. They worked so hard. Why don't we take care of them?
You know what? I don't know what's going on with big countries, especially the G7 countries, the US, the Canada, the United Kingdom, and the rest of the 7 nations. What are they doing with their money? Do you have to spend it to your constituent, to your citizen?
They will tell you they don't have money. They don't have
You
money.
got a lot. You got
know what?
60% of the world's money in your pocket.
Money is numbers. So if you count money in numbers, you keep counting numbers, and you are not going to think about anything else but than counting numbers. And this is what they are doing. They call themselves rich countries. They have money, but this money to them is just numbers. And they forget to give good service to their citizens. I was reading the report from UK. A lot of people died with COVID when they were supposed not to die. You know what happened?
Okay.
They were exposed to COVID in the hospitals.
They die in the hospital
They
trying
died.
to get treatment from COVID.
Exactly.
Oh my God, let's talk. We will be back after some words from our friends.
Are you an international student who has recently graduated from a Canadian post-secondary school? If you have graduated from a designated learning institution, you could be eligible to apply for permanent residency under the new pathway set out by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Contact Genesis Immigration Consulting.
We're back. Let's talk again. We'll be talking every Thursday and try to convince the government to look after the care of its citizenry.
You're right. You're
Well,
right. Yeah.
isolation. Back to isolation.
Back
It's
to
hard.
isolation.
It's hard. It's as if you are inside a jail, a cell.
I know.
You know, you're alone, isolated
Are they
alone,
not
talking to
isolated in
nobody.
the big star hotels?
Yes.
Big star hotels.
Yes. Anyway,
But they're not allowed to go out. They're not allowed
you're
to
not
meet
allowed.
people.
No. You're there, just there. Watch television, text
I'm
people.
trying to figure it out. If only my kids who don't go to school, they stay in the house, they are having issues and problems. So if they isolate you to be alone in the hotel,
You're
don't
grounded.
Go out.
It's like you're grounding a child.
It's
And
really
the child
hard.
rebels, you know.
So I just want to understand, when they isolate these healthcare workers, do they give them mental support?
Mental, you mean?
Yes.
No. You're just given instructions, stay there, don't go out for a certain period of time, let's say 4 to 5 days.
So if
And
I have-
if the swab result is negative, you could go back to your work. But you cannot go home, still there. Hotel and then work. That's the way it should be, or it is going on with the caregivers.
Oh, that is not right.
Correct.
That
is
is not right.
But what would the caregivers do? They won't get any salary if they will not report to work. That's the saddest part of it. And because these agencies who hires these caregivers, they don't give a paid the sick leave.
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
Okay,
they
you
don't.
get your vacation, no pay.
It's true. They don't. You know, the problem
My
is.
goodness, what kind of program is that?
You know,
No sick leave payment, only vacation.
No, I'm having a home care agency. So this is benefit. I declare conflict of interest here.
Yes.
That we have these staff who are exposed to COVID and work in this environment, for sure. Sometimes we don't pay them sick leave because they are having their vacation pay.
Okay.
The point is, how much do we receive from the client?
Okay.
Or how much payment do we receive from the government? This is the problem. So we don't complain. We cannot tell the agencies to give out this money,
Okay.
because the agency at this time, with all this difficult time, the clients have not increased the amount. So they are paying the same amount they've been paying. Okay? So you're not allowed to increase the charges. And even they don't, of course they understand that we understand also they have been going through a difficult time. But then the government was supposed to give a supplementary income to support the caregivers. So if the government could give that support, these caregivers could be given enough money at this time.
Who is giving the supplemental support to caregivers? Is the federal or the provincial?
It has to be the federal, because if you talk about the the caregivers, we are talking the whole of Canada.
But of course, all hit the province. Is that not a fact that the provincial government could also give supplemental support?
That's how it has to be done. Like the way they handled the business issue, where the federal gave a certain amount to the business people throughout the country, but every province also supported its business people. So if the federal government can support these caregivers a certain amount, just a supplement of it, and then the province also add maybe to it like $3. The government
$3 an hour.
The government give $5. The provincial government give at least $3 or $4 per hour. These caregivers could really be in a good stand.
But are they giving it? Is the federal government giving a $5 increase for every one of these 100,000 caregivers in Canada?
Even the government doesn't know who are the caregivers. They really don't know, because I'm having caregivers with my company. I've been struggling throughout this pandemic, paying them.
So they are not registered in the federal list?
You know what happened? Yeah, what happened is some people even stopped working. They choose to get government money through employment insurance. Or lost my
that's
job.
That's limited.
Yeah, because
EI.
We don't give them the increase. We didn't give them any increase. The government didn't give it any support. It's like the government even doesn't know how many caregivers they have. I'm very sure they only know the numbers of those people who are working in big hospitals.
Oh, because they're registered in the hospital as workers.
But there is no number. They know how many care agencies are having and how many caregivers we have in this country. They don't know.
But of course, there are the number of registered caregiver agencies are there.
That's what I'm telling you. They know the number of registered caregivers.
But the numbers of caregivers.
But the numbers of caregivers, they don't know it.
Correct. Only the agency.
Only the agency. And sometimes even those agencies, I'm not sure if they know every agency too.
Yeah.
Because we have a regulated body, but people are really working I don't understand. That's why when you are saying this money goes to very few people, big companies, I agree with that.
You know the province, the federal, only the doctors and surgeons are regulated, right?
Yes.
Even the agency, right? But not the dentists. They are not regulated. They could charge as much as they want.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you don't know. That's why I'm telling you. Even the agency, are you regulated? The agency.
No.
You're going to charge higher than what the government imposes you to charge.
And this is the problem of privatizing health services. With this government, they have privatized health services. So that means there's no regulated body for healthcare agencies. No. Because I have a healthcare, but I registered myself. But nobody
registered with the province or the federal
I registered with the province.
Business. Probably the business.
No, not the business. As the healthcare agency.
Yes.
I registered myself with the province because I wanted to have these government tenders. This is the reason why I had to get all this registration and to make sure at least I can be regulated, because you cannot operate you cannot work in the province if you are not regulated.
Correct.
So very few healthcare agencies are regulated, but I'm talking about private healthcare agencies which are even not in those lists. We have a lot
private,
we have a lot of care agencies which even the government doesn't know about them.
You mean these private agencies, they are not getting any financial assistance or support from the government?
We don't get any support. We don't get any financial support from the government. But they operate because they have private clients.
Okay.
So the only home care agencies who are regulated are those who are getting government tenders. Maybe
correct.
working with CACCs, with communities, community nurses. If you want to work in those government setting, you have to be regulated because the government sometimes audits you and also check how much you charge because the government is the one supplementing payment to these clients.
Yes, especially during tax season.
But then, if we work private, because like me, yes, I take government tender, but then I work private. For those clients who are paying direct from their pocket, nobody asks me.
Okay.
So no matter how much I charge you,
The government doesn't care whether
nobody cares because it's your money.
it's a private entity.
Yeah,
anyways.
it's a private service. So we charge you and you pay from your own pocket.
All right.
But then when you are talking about government only gives you 1 hour or 2 hours. Maximum is 14 hours or 17 hours per week.
Per week.
That's what the government pays. So the government is not paying that services.
No wonder they don't want to regain the administration of the long-term care.
It's very expensive.
It's a private.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. No wonder why the province of Ontario is not taking in nurses from other countries. The doctors, anybody who has a professional skills. Because the province will be spending millions of dollars for them.
Because even when you talk about long-term care, with long-term care, there is private rooms and government rooms. So with the government support, I'm telling you, the service is really bad. So for those long-term care, like the ones they didn't maybe catch up COVID or everything, those are private.
Yes.
So private long-term care is very expensive to get a bed there. So people want to get the lineup and go to this government long-term care, which the service is not that much because the government doesn't want to spend money to these retired people.
You know what? It's factored. 63% of the elders died from long-term care.
I agree.
Of COVID, right? I've read it. It's true. They release it.
I'm not. Some of them even didn't die because of COVID. Some of them, the way you are talking about isolation, they died because they were isolated. You know, there are people who were not allowed to come out from their rooms.
Even their families could not go there inside their rooms when the pandemic erupts. You know,
and
they were looking outside. Of course, the elders, the 80s plus people. They're dying to talk and meet with their family.
You know,
so they die. They die there all nakanud. Oh
another problem with this government is that you are signing a consent. So you cannot sue anyone when something happens.
Yes. It's a contract.
It's a contract. So it's you to decide. And this is what they're doing. And this is what they're doing now. Like DJ was telling me yesterday that people who are taking this extra, the Pfizer vaccine, are now giving them waiver to sign.
To sign what?
To sign the waiver. So that if you are taking that vaccine, whatever happens to you,
Anyways,
it's not my problem. So
the government, it is the government who takes a responsibility on what will happen. If you die, the government pays. That's what the contract between the manufacturer and the government. True, because it happens in the Philippines. They will not give you millions of doses of Pfizer or Moderna, whatever vaccine, in the Philippines if your government will not sign that waiver. It is the government that signs the waiver that whatever happens to the patients that was injected with my Pfizer, if that patient dies, it is the government who will pay, not the manufacturer.
Wow. So they're signing. So
Yes. the truth.
No, DJ, can you please speak out? We want to hear you. No, speak out, please.
The manufacturer will not
I
be
still have
charged.
the waiver at home.
You have the waiver at
Yes.
home. So that means if you had that
Yes.
waiver, if something happens to you, it's your problem because
Yes.
you accepted it.
Yes.
So the government is not responsible.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not responsible. That's
The waiver that he signed, the waiver that people signed, it's they will not give any accusing finger to Pfizer or whatever manufacturer or whatever vaccines that was injected to you. If you die with that, we don't care. You died. You allowed yourself to be vaccinated.
That's the point.
That's the point.
No, let's talk. Let's talk. Viewers, this is Let's Talk. We talk a lot of things, but whatever we are talking, we are advocating for you. We want the government to hear this. We want the government to go back and see where they have done a mistake.
Well, of course, isolation. We will be back for more definition of isolation after some words from our friends.
Are you an international student who has recently graduated from a Canadian post-secondary school? If you have graduated from a designated learning institution, you could be eligible to apply for permanent residency under the new pathway set out by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Contact Genesis Immigration Consulting.
Let's talk. Okay, Josie, isn't it true that a lot of caregivers doesn't want to work? They don't want to work with the long-term care.
Yes, they don't. They don't. I have a proof because I have several clients right now, and I can't find employees because employees don't want to go to work to the long-term cares. They are afraid to be exposed to COVID because there is no any support for them, for their families, in case they catch up COVID. And these caregivers, sometimes they're getting isolated and the families are not supported and the money is not enough at all. So people don't want to go to work simply because there's no motivation. If this is what I'm saying, if the government could assure the caregivers with a life insurance in case they get exposed to COVID and they die, that their family is going to be paid a certain amount of money, these people could go to work with one heart.
You know what, Jose? Not only that money if you die, but at the course of, let's say you got infected with the COVID-19 virus, you got sick, you got hospitalized, and you could not work for so many days, weeks, probably months, as what other patients have been suffering right now. The government must put a fund for these people hospitalized because of COVID in the performance of their work.
What the government pays, the patient gets money. If you get COVID, you can apply.
You
apply.
You apply for EI, employee insurance or compensation. But only for 6 weeks or 8 weeks.
If you also have, maybe you are taking care of the person who had COVID.
Okay.
As a wife or a husband.
Okay.
Or a mother. You also can apply for certain funds. There is a fund for people for caregivers. There's
Okay.
a fund for caregivers. But I'm not sure the criteria for that fund for caregivers. So if your wife or whatever it is and you're supposed to stay home, not to go to work, that's what people apply.
What if the wife or the husband doesn't have work? What if the only one earning for you is in the hospital?
Yeah, so the government expects you to apply for that caregiver support. Not only the EI, the patient maybe can apply. The patient is not applying the EI. I think if the patient applies, because for sure, maybe we are going to ask Tito Edward.
Yes,
this
because
question.
the agency, Edwards and Tita says agency, Tito Edward is assured of payment for whatever salary that has missed him while he is in the hospital.
So he was assured to be paid.
3 months. That's how good their agency is.
Wow, so he's going to be paid 3
Correct,
months. That's
correct.
great. Does he
Because
have?
they know COVID is it's a very grave illness. When it, of course, we don't know what happened to Tito Edwards.
Is it a government agency or a private agency?
It's a private agency with a link to the government.
Yeah, so
that
for-
handles the supervision of the airport.
So for those people who are working with the government, with the private agencies which get funds from the government, those agencies have, because they apply for, you know what, the companies are applying for workers subsidiary.
Okay.
So when they apply for workers subsidiary, that's why they are able to pay these people. But my company, I cannot apply for workers subsidy payment.
Okay. Why?
So there's a lot of politics in this government grants and support. The qualifications, the way you can be approved, it's a lot of things.
And of course, before your
Because I did.
Before you explode your head, you won't apply anymore.
That's the point.
That's
Because
the government relaxes. I gave you a lot of headache. Don't apply.
I had staff who were exposed from COVID in the office, in the long-term care. And this staff did not want to work anymore. So I said, okay, but I need to pay them.
Of course, you have. Huh?
So
You have to
I
pay
tried
them.
to apply for these worker subsidiaries. I was not approved.
Why?
I think it has there's a regulations, the criteria they are having is very, very complicated. Very complicated.
goodness.
So when you talk about these other agencies, the big ones, of course, those agencies are for buddies. The government will give them money.
So you have to make your company a bigger one. Get some directors who have contacts with the government people, so that whenever you apply, you are approved.
Oh my goodness!
That's the only way that you could get
It's really
support.
frustrating. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
really, it's
frustrating.
really.
It's really frustrating.
Small businesses like you and other businesses that doesn't have any
I'm telling you,
contact or a grasp with the
I was
politics,
almost I almost shut down my agency
Yeah, I know.
because it was so stressed at this time of pandemic.
Correct.
People didn't want to go to work, and the increase was not there because staff ask you to give more money because they are listening to this Polish statement from the politicians.
Correct.
But then the politicians are not doing what they're talking.
Uh-huh.
And then if you tell somebody, no, this is what I can offer you, they say, no, I don't want to work.
Yes, it's better to have a friend, high politician out there. You're going to have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, you're right.
Whenever you ask and rather apply for a fund,
I think-
approve without thinking, approve.
No, I was thinking last night that, you know what, it's the right time to go and introduce myself to Dog Ford now. I will just go and say, Dog Ford, I'm a Negro woman and I'm here to look for what I want.
Yes, after this pandemic, after this COVID, we will invite these big people because they will be trying to get our attention, the
Yeah,
media
the-
people. All right? and you will ask them this and this and this. I have this business. Could you be my sponsor? Take it or leave it. We will help you.
I'm telling you, it's very hard.
No, we don't do
It's,
that. But BUTT, that's what you're doing right now with us.
Yeah, it's true. I really have to get those friends. You're right. For the business to move on, we have to.
We will be doing that. Anyway, we are just talking here on what to do if you try to want, or if you want to be your business, a known one, to get support financially from the government, whether it's from the federal or from the provincial or from the local. You could get from Tory.
Tito Rory, do you hear that? We need business support. You know what?
Yes.
A lot of business now, they're looking for this promise of Doug Ford, because he promised he's going to give he's going to double the grants, Ontario grants. And people are still waiting. Still waiting.
Don't wait. You want to rally? Okay, rally. But of course, rally at this time, at this moment, my God, you will be ticketed. And the government will earn from you again. Now, you cannot express your freedom vested by the Constitution of Canada. By expressing your rights, forget it, guys. Forget it, guys. Oh, no more rally, you will be ticketed.
You're going to get tickets when you go to the rallies right now.
Oh, yeah, you're just expressing what the constitutions give you, right?
And this is let's talk. And this is what we are doing. Instead of going to Rory, we are talking these issues. And the way Tito Moni said, we are going to invite these people because they are going to look for us. Election time is coming. They are looking for votes. And how do they look for votes?
If they don't want, let's say, invite Doug Ford. If we do not come, we will invite Del Duca.
Yeah, you're right.
The opposition. Ask the opposition to come here because the GOP of the government in power doesn't want to visit us and explain to the people what they have been doing.
They have been doing and what they are planning to do if we elect them again.
Yes, there are 4 major opposition parties here in Canada, and the election time will be next year. Oh, better.
Was it not supposed to be this year?
No, next year.
Next year.
2020.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, that's why Caroli, Caroli probably would be campaigning for MPP election here. And we will help him. He's the best known bet of the Filipino people in trying to secure a member of the provincial parliament seat.
Yeah.
Who could say? All right, we have no more time, Josie, and thank you very much for giving me such a nice discussion on this issue. Okay, please make your...
I would say thank you, viewers, for watching us, and please continue watching us. Don't leave your screens. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you very much, friends, and of course, Tita Cecil and Tito Ed. Take care. And we will be continuously praying for your early recovery. Well, this is Mondatol in behalf of my partner, Josie Sla, and our guapo and tulad kong macho DJ Ricky Q. Magandang hapon po. Good day, Canada.
Are you an international student who has recently graduated from a Canadian post-secondary school? If you have graduated from a designated learning institution, you could be eligible to apply for permanent residency under the new pathway set out by Immigration, Refugees, and